Purple, a colour often associated with royalty, nobility, wealth and extravagance. A regal colour that often embodies the concepts of luxury and elegance. But it's also become a symbol for a great cause that's aiming to raise awareness for one of the most mysterious neurological conditions, epilepsy. Hello everyone and welcome to the Chrissy B Show, the UK's only programme that's dedicated to mental health and well-being. And on today's show, we'll be helping to raise awareness for yet another condition affecting millions of people worldwide. We'll be joined by representatives from Epilepsy Action who will be telling us more about the disorder. Alongside this, our resident psychologist Dr Audrey Tang will be speaking about the adverse psychological effects that can arise. Plus, Dr Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions. Also on the show today, we have our resident business expert Chelsey Baker to talk about how to maintain a work-life balance for all you workaholics out there. And on top of that, we'll be showing you how the MHDChallenge tour is going with our trip to Warren Dell Primary School. And alongside this, we'll be speaking with Global Woman Ambassador Anna Karen Horney. But first up, let's see what you on Twitter are saying about epilepsy awareness. Life of Dan says, I'm over a year seizure-free and feel so lucky after some of the stories I've read on here. Stay positive, and if anyone needs to talk about their epilepsy, feel free to get in touch. Megan says, 29. Today marks 29 months seizure-free. I never thought I'd be able to say 9, let alone 29. Well, clearly people are getting involved and sharing their thoughts on the issue of epilepsy. So let's head now over to our rep from Epilepsy Action, Chantel Spittles, and her guest, Derek Kay, who has the condition.
Epilepsy is a really wide-ranging condition. It affects 600,000 people in the UK every year, and every day 87 people will find out that they have the condition. I think a lot of people think epilepsy is just one condition, but there's a whole range of things to it. There's more than 60 different seizure types, and they can affect everyone in very, very different ways. And epilepsy is something that can happen to you at any stage in your life, so it's not just something that you're born with, which I think is what a lot of people think epilepsy is sometimes. It can happen to you at any stage, at any time in your life, and it can have a real impact on your life as well. It's not just about seizures, it can have an impact on your education, your relationships, driving, employment, and we at Epilepsy Action are here to deal with all those things that people have to deal with, people with epilepsy have to deal with on a regular basis. Well, seizures in themselves, if someone has tonic-clonic seizures, which is sort of where they fall to the floor and they convulse, that can obviously, they can injure themselves very badly. They can have sometimes, depending on the type of seizures they have, it can affect their memory. If they have seizures at night, nocturnal seizures, then they can wake up the next day feeling absolutely exhausted, and then that can be a real struggle if they have to go to school or work. So there's never just one symptom for someone with epilepsy. It can be anything really, and it's obviously then the impact that it has on the person's life as well. So there are many reasons as to why someone might have epilepsy. Some people can be born with epilepsy. Some people, if they have an accident or a brain injury, they can develop epilepsy as a result of that. And for some reasons, we just don't know why people develop epilepsy. And that's why more research is really important, so we can really understand all the different ways that epilepsy can be caused and therefore be treated. So Epilepsy Action is here to support the 600,000 people in the UK who live every day with epilepsy, and their families as well. We have a range of services to help them with this. For example, the Epilepsy Action helpline, and that has a fantastic team of experts who are there to answer calls from people with epilepsy and their loved ones about a range of questions. It can be anything from, how do I take my medication? I'm having problems with my tablets. Or it can be that they can't drive and they don't know what to do. They just don't know. It's having a massive impact on their life. So our helpline is there to be there for people who are are struggling in any shape or form. We also have coffee and chat groups all over the country as well, because we know that a lot of people with epilepsy can sometimes feel isolated by their condition, and they feel like they're the only ones in the world who have epilepsy. So it's really important that they can actually get out and meet people, meet other families who are in the same situation, and they can share their experiences and realise they're not alone. We have people all over the UK who come to us for help, and indeed across the world. Last year alone, we had 2 million people visit our website, which just shows you that just how wide-ranging epilepsy is, and how people need information to help them understand what they're going through. So Purple Day is all about talking about epilepsy. It started in Canada back in 2008 by a young teenager called Chelsey Baker, who has epilepsy, and she just wanted to raise awareness in her local school. And since then it's grown to be a global event, and here at Epilepsy Action we took part in Purple Day this year to raise awareness about our Epilepsy Action helpline. Because currently we can only answer half the calls that we're getting, and this is due to many reasons. So the NHS is getting stretched, people are having problems with personal independence payments. We've seen a massive increase in calls surrounding that. So there are lots of reasons as to why we're getting a lot of people through to the helpline, and we can't currently answer half the calls. So we've been very lucky that people have supported us this Purple Day, so we can be there even longer to be there for people with epilepsy on our helpline. One of the biggest challenges that we're facing at the moment at Epilepsy Action is that we can only currently answer half the calls that are made to our helpline, and this is really concerning, because we know that means there are people out there with epilepsy and their loved ones who are trying to get through, who have really important questions that they want to ask us to get help and support they need to help them manage their epilepsy, and we can't be there for them. And this is why we've asked people this Purple Day to support the helpline, so that we can be there even longer. We can open the helpline evenings and weekends and actually be there to answer their questions, whether it's something really simple or really complex. We need to be there for them.
I think that's the beauty of the actual helpline, the fact that they can answer all types of questions, from your small questions or your sort of big ones. So
the future is all about being there even more for people with epilepsy, to continue to be there for everyone, whether they're newly diagnosed or whether they're further along their journey. We know that people who we're talking to now will need our help as time goes on. So it's about being there, whether it's from the helpline or offering support groups or campaigning for change. We want to be there for people today and tomorrow.
Join us after the break, where we'll be hearing from Derek telling us about his experiences of living with epilepsy. But first, before we go to break, let's hear from Audrey Tang and her take on how living with epilepsy can affect someone psychologically.
Hello, I'm Dr Audrey Tang, and I'm the resident psychologist on the Chrissy B Show, and I'm here to talk a little bit more about epilepsy today. Epilepsy is a neurological disorder. It is not a psychological disorder, but people sometimes say that there will be psychological effects if somebody is epileptic. It's worth thinking about what it is, but also why somebody can be affected psychologically. So what it is, it's when the brain has an overproduction of electrical activity, and this can cause seizures. Now, when those seizures happen, this can be a complete loss of awareness. It can be you can remain completely aware. They can vary in severity, they can vary in length. Now, the reason why it can have psychological effects is if, say, a young child suffers a number of seizures, that can affect the brain itself, and so it may make a development, it may make cognition, learning things at school, that can become quite difficult. But also, if a child is often having to miss school quite a lot because they are suffering, then it also means that they may be held back a little bit when it comes to their education. You can also have issues with parents who are meaning very, very well, and so I'm not trying to say, please don't protect your children. What I am saying is sometimes you can get a parent who is so worried about that child having a fit that they don't allow that child to do anything. I was recently at a conference where a doctor was working on triggers, recognizing triggers for epilepsy, and I said to him, that's a great thing because it can help the person who's suffering from epilepsy so much. And he said, actually, the biggest problem he's experienced is a lot of carers, a lot of parents and carers who want to look after that child's well-being, saying, I don't want my child to go out, I don't want my child to do that in case they have a fit. It's often more important to educate the child about the disorder, to educate people around them about the disorder, and try, if you can, to allow them to engage in other things as well. So those can be some of the negative effects, also a little bit about how you can counter some of them too. When it comes to adults, you can do a few things as well. If you suffer from epilepsy, learn about the side effects of your medication. That's one of the most important things, because there are lots of different treatments for epilepsy. You may find something that works for you better. So if you're feeling that that particular medication is causing you problems, or anything that you want to do, it's hindering you, really think about the side effects of that medication. Also, try to educate other people about this, and one way you can do this is by having a care plan for yourself and teaching other people about that care plan. It just means that if you were to suffer a seizure at work, it means that somebody knows how to deal with that. So do involve other people, because those people, managers, occupational health, all of those people can contribute to supporting you. Explain your diagnosis to people. Don't hide away from it. You can choose how you work with that diagnosis, which means that you can choose to educate other people. Educate them on what it is, how you're affected by it, how your way of dealing with it and way of managing it and your experiences with it may be different to somebody else as well. That's very important to realise. So adults, if you're suffering from any form of disorder, you can educate people a lot too. Thanks so much for listening. From Dr. Audrey Tang at the Chrissy B Show, I'll see you next time.
Thanks very much to Audrey there. Now don't go away, because after the break we'll be hearing from Derek, who'll be telling us how epilepsy affects him. Plus Rob Hicks will be joining us to answer your medical questions. But first, let's see if you were paying attention. How many people are thought to have epilepsy worldwide? Is it A, 15 million, B, 20 million, or C, 50 million? Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, where today we've been trying to do our bit to raise awareness for epilepsy, a disorder that's still unknown in many ways. We've been talking with Epilepsy Action, and we're going to go back to them to hear the story of Derek K. But before the break, I asked you, how many people are thought to suffer from epilepsy worldwide? Is it A, 15 million, B, 20 million, or C, 50 million? The answer is C, 50 million. The severity of the disease can vary greatly from person to person, and here to tell their version of the story, it's Derek K.
Yeah, my name's Derek K, and I've had epilepsy since I was age 7. Currently, it's controlled and has been, thankfully, for the last year. However, throughout my teenage years and my younger sort of toddler years, or when I was around 10, 11, etc., it was really bad. I was in and out of hospital, and at the time, me, my mum and everyone didn't know what was going on. It's not until, as I said, ages around 7 that I was actually diagnosed. I'd say the impact it's had is there's pros and there's cons. So the pros are, it's made me realise how important, how precious life is. So I wake up on some days and I really appreciate the fact that I'm actually breathing, which a modern day person wouldn't. And the cons are, I suffer from like anxiety, I get really emotional, and I generally from time to time just feel alone. So it's just a battle between those two emotions. I'd say on some days you feel really happy to be here and to be breathing and just being able to see and experience things. And then, as I said, on other days you just have really bad like panic attacks, anxiety, I'm scared to leave my house, so just feel really emotional. So it's just a battle between those two feelings, I'd say. Yeah, so in general, from young age, and it pretty much follows through to now, my family always didn't like me like locking doors, things like that, and any sort of bangs, they would always be worried, thinking that I've had a seizure or something gone on. I remember growing up as a kid, I was never really allowed to like stay over people's houses, little things like that, because my parents were really worried about me and didn't know whether people would know how to handle my condition. So that was sort of the issues I faced when I was young, and growing up, I'd say the issues I've faced is just the fact that people, when they see me having a seizure, and some people, because they've never seen it before, when you see somebody having a seizure, you'd think they're drunk or they're acting inappropriately, so that they can laugh at you or call you names or just belittle you or make you feel really uncomfortable. And that's happened quite a few times in workplaces or in social environments. For example, I remember at work having a seizure a few years back, and my manager was sort of made me just feel really, really bad. He was just sort of like saying to me I acted like a kid, and it's just really disgusting, really. So things like that. I remember having one at a gym, and one of the staff members didn't want me to come back to that particular gym because he felt that I shouldn't be there in the first place. But yeah, I've had quite a few bad experiences, I've said. I think people react that way because there is a majority of people, I'd say, that don't know enough about the condition, so they're probably just scratching their heads thinking, what is it? Which is understandable. Thank God there is people like Epilepsy Action, which are doing their hardest, obviously, to spread more awareness, but I think that's generally the main reason people don't know enough. And then you do have your small minority who just think it's funny because I don't know why really, but you do have your small minority of people who just generally just like to take advantage of you, I guess. I don't know what else to really say. I'd say firstly, obviously Epilepsy Action have been great help in terms of just making me feel like they've given me hope, first of all, because there's been times where I've called up and I just felt really rock bottom, like I had no hope. So, and secondly, as I said, when they've never found a particular cause for my epilepsy. So I've just been back and forth trying to find out what the cause is, and they basically gave me a list of ways to go about trying to find causes, and referred me to different specialists. So I think they've been amazing. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd be seizure-free at the moment. It's important to me to raise awareness, firstly because there's too much misconceptions, way too much misconceptions. People think seizures are caused because of this. Majority of the misconceptions are people think it's flashing lights, but don't realise everyone has their own types of seizures. And one of the main reasons as well is I want people with the condition to know that they're not alone. That there is people out here wanting to help. For example, Epilepsy Action, they do have quite a few services, like Chantal said, the helpline.
Thank you so much to Derek there. Now, for many people, for various reasons, maintaining a work-life balance can be incredibly hard to achieve. However, here with some tips on how it can be possible is Chelsey Baker on maintaining a work-life balance.
Hello everyone, my name is Chelsey Baker and I'm the resident business expert here, and today I'm going to be talking about having a work-life balance, or for some people it's actually known as a work-life imbalance. So the problem that we're faced with today, especially if you're self-employed, is, if you're working from home, if you're juggling multiple jobs, is where does the day start and where does it end? And for most people, it doesn't. The lines are really blurred. If you're employed, the demands of being in the work environment are harder than ever before. There's more competitors in the workplace, there's more competition, employers are asking more of you, and this is why today it's so important to really have a look and analyse, are you having a good work-life balance? So here's my tips on how you at home can create the perfect work-life balance and free up some amazing me time. Number one, analyse how you currently spend your time. Have a good look and just see, last week, last month, the last day, what can you actually cut out? Number one on my list would be cutting out the amount of time you possibly spend on social media. Imagine limiting it to 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon. For those social media junkies, of course you may need longer, you may need about 30 minutes to an hour, but have 30 minutes to an hour for the whole day. You can regain hours and hours of your life. My next advice is prioritise your time. Not everything can be urgent, critical and important all at the same time. This is for all you people at home who have long to-do lists, and for those of you who are just, going everywhere, doing everything. Is it urgent and important? Is it important but not urgent? Is it urgent but not important? Or is it neither urgent nor important? My next tip is to manage your time. This really helps reduce a lot of anxiety and stress. So when I say manage your time, we have to find out and identify what is your peak performance time. Are you a morning person or are you a nighttime person? And really, it's very important, if you're working long hours, to have set hours to go home and stick to them. So what is your working day going to be? Mine is quite varied. Sometimes I do 12 till 12, but I choose to be like that because my peak performance time is I work very well at night. So one of the things that I can advise you to do is to always start the day with 5 critical, important, urgent tasks that you need to get done. Then when they're done, you've got the worst over and done with first. You can relax, you can breathe, you can perhaps get on with some of the nicer tasks. So really stick to getting the worst done first and in your peak performance time. Is that going to be at night? Is that going to be first thing in the morning? It's a wonderful, elating feeling to get rid of the worst jobs first. My next tip is to manage your diary. You're in charge of your diary, nobody else. Unless, of course, you have a PA, she might be in charge of your diary. But for most of us, manage your diary. What does that mean? Allow for some clear space. I remember looking at my diary once feeling so overwhelmed and almost nauseous at the fact that it was absolutely full on a calendar month. And what I did, I thought, this is too much. I have no life, I have no me time. I went through, I got a red pen, I striked through, and I cancelled over 25% of the activities and the work that was in my diary. And it was the best feeling in the world. So have a look at your diary. Think also, like we talked about earlier, what is not critical, what is not urgent, what can you strike through? And really look at creating and freeing up some free space for you. It's your time. So manage your diary how you want to manage it. My next tip, some of you are going to find it really hard, but it's learn to say no. Remember, it's your life. Stop doing things out of guilt or just because you've always done them. Focus on activities that you want to do, that mean something to you and that make you happy. Ditch the ones that don't. My strategy always, I get a lot of booking, people want me to speak all over the world. I look at it and I say, right, I'll get back to you, I'll check my schedule. This is whenever I'm asked to do something. I'm giving you my own secrets here. So of course, by me saying I'll get back to you, it enables me to do the following. A, decide, do I really want to do this? And B, how will this impact and affect my current schedule? So those are really two important things. Do you actually want to do what's being asked of you? But all too often, when, you know, in this day and age, we're asked constantly to do things. We're pulled and pulled and pulled to do more and more, whether it be socially, in the workplace, with family, in the community. So always bide yourself some time and say, I'll just check my schedule and I'll get back to you. And then you can actually have that time to reflect. Does it suit where you're going? Does it fit in line with your goals? Is it important to you? And then obviously you can go back and say, I'm terribly sorry that doesn't, you're working, you're busy, whatever the truth is, that, you're overcommitted already, you're sorry that you can't do it. But most people feel very, very guilty about saying no. So we really need to address this at the moment, that, you might get asked to babysit, to go and see friends, to go to a party, to help a neighbour, to help somebody at work. There's hundreds of things that you might be asked to do, but just bide yourself that time, and it's your life. So please ditch the guilt. That's the main thing here. Learn to say no and ditch the guilt. So my name's Chelsey Baker. I hope you've enjoyed my tips on how you can have a work-life balance and really start to consolidate, really start to consider what free time you can actually, get by cutting out what you don't need in your diary and in your life. And wishing you great success on having a better work-life balance. Over to you, Chrissy.
Thank you so much to Chelsey there. Now don't go away, guys, because after the break, Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions, such as this one. I'm going to have a C-section and I want to have a tummy tuck at the same time. How safe and effective can I expect this procedure to be? Find out what Rob has to say after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So now it's time for Doctor's Answers with Dr. Rob Hicks. And if you have a medical question, all you need to do is email us on
Doctor.
I forgot.
At ChrissyBShow.tv.
Thank you, Rob. You see, I forget too sometimes. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I like the cakes.
Oh, yes, very nice. Yeah. We'll have one of those later. But first, you're going to answer some questions for us, aren't you?
That'll be my reward.
Yes,
then.
okay.
Yeah.
First question, Rob. I'm going to have a C-section and I want to have a tummy tuck at the same time. How safe and effective can I expect this procedure to be?
Actually, it's not recommended to have the tummy tuck operation at the same time or just after a cesarean section. Most surgeons would advise that you wait at least a few months, ideally 6 months or more, before having that operation done. And the reason being is it's important to make sure that your weight is stabilised and actually that you've got over the whole process of pregnancy and having a baby. And the other reason is that if you have it done at the same time, the result is not as good as if you wait that time, so that your body is prepared and in the best shape, really, for that procedure to be done. The other thing to think about is that if you have the tummy tuck operation done at the same time as you've just had a cesarean section, then there's a longer recovery time, which means it might be more difficult for you to actually look after your newborn, to look after your child, because you'll be recovering from that extra surgery. And the other thing to bear in mind is that really most surgeons would say not to have that procedure done until you've finished having a family, so that if you're sure, if you think that you might want to have a further pregnancy and further children, then again, postpone having the tummy tuck operation until that point. But discuss it with your surgeon, but I think that's the advice that you'll be given.
Great advice there, Rob. Next question. I'm 21 years old and my wisdom teeth have started coming in. The one on the left bottom has started popping through and it's growing in sideways. What causes this? Is it because there isn't enough room for them to grow the right way, or are my gums just bad? All I know is that it's very painful. You're a dentist again today.
I'm a dentist
yes.
again. Well, it's an interesting question because the thing for me about this question is that it's painful.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know the answer here. go and see the dentist. So you need,
as soon as possible.
You need to go and see your dentist if it's painful, because something's not right. When the wisdom teeth are growing in the wrong direction, it usually is, as you've suggested, that there's not enough space, and sometimes it's a case of these teeth need to be removed because they're going to get in the way, they're going to cause problems, they might interfere with your chewing of food, etc. So pop along to your dentist, get them looked at, and follow the advice that you're given.
Okay. Next question, Rob. I had what seemed like a small mole developing on my shoulder for a while. It was smallish, brown, unassuming, which I duly ignored. Recently though, when I was drying off after a shower, it came off on the towel, leaving a bloody spot behind. Is this normal behaviour for a mole, or was this something else?
That's a difficult question to answer without seeing it, but speaking generally, moles don't tend to fall off.
Yeah.
But there are some growths on the skin that are not a risk for cancer that can look like a mole, so a wart, for example, or just an overgrowth of skin, which then may get rubbed off during showering or toweling.
Okay.
What I would suggest, if this is healed over and there's nothing more to see, then it's probably a good idea and okay for you just to keep an eye on that part of your body. If there's anything left, I would ask you to get it checked out. And the most general advice and the most important advice is if you notice any changes of the skin that look like moles, or particularly if it's a new mole, or if an existing mole changes in its shape, colour or size, or starts bleeding, itching or scabbing, then pop along to the doctor as soon as you can to get it checked to make sure that it's not a cancerous mole that needs treating. But I suggest if you're left with any sort of mark, get your doctor to have a quick look at it.
Next question. There are floating things in front of my eyes that move when I move my eyes. I see them especially well in the sunlight. Is this a health problem I should be worried about? How can I make them go away? They really bother me a lot. A 31-year-old male.
This is called floaters.
Oh.
These are floaters.
That was another.
Yeah, that's right. These are floaters in vision. And generally speaking, they're absolutely harmless. What happens is inside the eye, there's a thick liquid called vitreous, and with the passage of time as we age, this vitreous contains proteins, and the proteins coagulate, so they stick together. They form these solid small masses. Now the floaters, they're not transparent, so when the light is coming in through the eye, they cast a shadow on the back of the eye, and that's what we see as being the floaters. So generally speaking, you don't need any treatment for them, and there isn't a treatment for them. And generally speaking, they're absolutely harmless. So you can reduce the likelihood of them developing further by protecting your eyes from sunlight and UV radiation. So the usual things: keep into the shade, sunglasses, wide-peaked caps and hats and so forth. If you've had them for a long time and they're not interfering with your vision and they're not increasing in number, then you're probably okay just to go along and have a routine checkup. If, however, they've come on suddenly, or the numbers have increased suddenly, or you get other symptoms like eye pain or blurred vision or redness or discharge, you should get things checked out sooner, because sometimes with those other symptoms, or symptom like it's like a curtain is passing over the eyes, that's what it looks like, that can be a more significant and more severe problem where the back of the eye, the retina is detaching. It's called retinal detachment, and without treatment that can lead to permanent vision loss. But generally speaking, if you've not got any of those symptoms and it's simply floaters, then generally speaking you've got nothing to worry about.
Okay, and last question for today, Rob. I feel like when I used to exercise more, my bowel movements were much more regular. Could that be true, or was it just that I was eating differently then? If it is true, then what kinds of exercise are best for staying regular? Are there kinds of exercises that are bad for your digestion?
Any exercise is good. It's why we recommend for people who are constipated that they get more active, because it stimulates the bowel.
Okay.
So the answer is, it's not a coincidence. Well, if you're exercising, then you will find that you open your bowels, and if you're exercising on a regular basis at the same time, you're likely to open your bowels more often at the same time. of day as well. So this is a recognised phenomena. The other thing is that being stressed slows down the bowels, contributes to constipation. Again, why we ask people to manage their stress to improve their bowel function. So exercise de-stresses people, and therefore, again, the bowels work more frequently. The other thing is, you mentioned about diet. It may be also that you've increased the amount of fibre in your diet, and we know very, very well that will increase the ease and sometimes the frequency of bowel opening. So it's a good observation, and you're absolutely right.
Okay, brilliant, Rob. That's it for today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you again next time.
Yes, you will.
Thank you. Now don't go away, guys, because after the break we'll see our wonderful trip to Warren Dell Primary School to see them do the MHD Challenge. And alongside this, we'll be speaking with Global Woman Ambassador Anna-Karin Horney, so stay tuned for that. Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everyone. So we hope you've enjoyed today's focus on raising awareness for epilepsy, and it was an absolute pleasure to hear about all the hard work being done all year round. And a special thanks to Chantel Spittle and Derek Kay from Epilepsy Action. But now to round off today's show, let's head over to Ambassador for Global Woman, Anna-Karin Horney. Hello, Anna-Karin.
Hello.
Nice to have you on the programme.
Thank you.
So we do have, obviously, the founder of the Global Woman Club on the show from time to time, which is Mirella Sulla,
yes.
which everyone's seen on the show as well. And can you, before you tell us about how your involvement with Global Woman Club and Global Woman Magazine, can you tell us a bit about your background?
Well, my background, I started out as a dancer.
Okay.
Started teaching when I was 12.
Teaching at 12?
Teaching
wow.
at 12, yes. So I've been working as a teacher and a coach for a long time now.
Okay.
And I'm also into health products.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one out of 3 people launching a new health product in Europe, and it's based on Moringa oleifera.
Okay.
And and I'm also doing some properties.
So you do quite a lot of things then?
Yeah, different things, yeah. And I've been always running a lot of companies at the same time. I'm a strong believer in multitasking.
Okay. Is there one thing in particular that really, you really love above the rest, or are you kind of the kind of person that kind of likes a lot of different things?
Well, showbiz was really fun.
Okay.
But I really love coaching.
Okay.
Helping people to develop when it comes to health and their true potential.
Okay. Why do you love that so much?
To see someone blossom is really something else. Yeah, it's remarkable.
Right. And tell us about your involvement in Global Woman. How did you hear about it, and what was it that struck you about it?
I've been a member since they launched in Stockholm, because I'm from Sweden, and they launched in September last year. And I've been traveling quite a lot, so I've been to some of the different clubs. And I'm one of the lucky ones that Mirella picked out to be one out of 10 women that is going to do the special 10 days in New York in July.
Nice.
And and I've been speaking at a couple of lounge events. And in this autumn I'm going to start the club in north of Sweden.
Okay, and for the benefit of the viewers that don't actually know what Global Woman Club is, can you just give a little explanation?
It's a club really when it comes to female entrepreneurs. And you got the opportunity to stand there and speak in a friendly environment about yourself and what you're working with.
Okay, and how has it impacted your own life?
I got a lot of more speaking engagements. I've been on TV and radio, and it really developed. Yeah, and I got a lot of lovely lady friends now that I didn't know a couple of months ago.
Okay, so it's kind of like a family then, really, as well, isn't it? Not just a...
Yeah, and we're helping out. One got some connections that they share with other people, and it goes on from there.
Can you tell us, what are the benefits of having, apart from obviously getting connections and stuff, but what are the other benefits of being not just part of Global Woman, but any sort of club or team like this?
When it's a group like that, you feel more secure to actually talk about a couple of things that might be a bit difficult to do if you're in a big event, for example.
Yeah.
And we were discussing today when we had a meeting the difference between men and female entrepreneurs, and we realized that men are going more to the point. They are really great at closing deals. They want to see the money on the table. And the female way of doing it is a bit more emotional. We're going in circles around the subject and hopefully ending up with closing the deal as well at the end.
Why do you think females do that then? Do you think just too polite,
I think we're more insecure. We don't want to hurt the other person's feelings.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem, actually.
That's interesting. Well, there's nothing wrong with sort of going around, beating around the bush a little bit before you get to the point. So I think it's a nice quality, like to care about other people's feelings, maybe.
Yeah, it is. But sometimes it can get away with in the way of the business.
Okay. And can you tell us a bit more about, you opening the branch? How's that going to work, and what will the benefits be?
Well, we realized today, I was speaking with Morella, and they have a club in Stockholm already. They're opening one in Gothenburg right now, actually. And that's a 4-hour drive in between.
Okay.
And I live 4 hours north of Stockholm. And a 4-hour drive one way to go to a breakfast meeting, that's a bit steep. So we realized we needed another club as well.
Okay. Now you actually travel between 3 countries, don't you? So that must be quite a hectic schedule, I would say. So how do you actually take care of yourself?
Well, I got quite a lot of time on the airplanes nowadays.
Okay, yeah.
And that's not really good. But the health products I was talking about with the moringa is helping a lot. It's anti-inflammatory as well. So before this cold that I got today, I haven't had a cold for 2 years, actually.
Okay.
So it's helping a lot.
Okay. And what about your mental health? How do you take care of that?
I'm an expert at sleeping on the airplane. I can sleep on buses everywhere. I got that after my father.
Okay.
And I try to rest as much as I can between the busy things I need to do.
Brilliant. Okay, well, Anna-Karin, thanks so much for coming on, and all the best with opening Global Woman in another area.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
Lovely, and we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, so now the MHD Challenge, the dance that aims to raise awareness for mental health issues, is currently touring schools across the country, trying to get the kids talking about their mental health. And here's our trip to Warren Dell Primary School. So before we start, I just want to tell you a little bit about me. So I present a program called the Chrissy B Show on Sky TV, and Sharon is a regular guest on my program, helping parents how to help their children and things like that. Now, before, with me, I used to be very sad. I used to have something called depression. I was very sad all the time. I was very scared. I was afraid, for example, to turn the lights off at night. I was very nervous all the time. And I didn't know what to do. And I thought, maybe I'm the only one in the whole world that feels this way. And I really thought I was the only one. And I used to have things like nightmares and stuff like that. And it was really affecting my life so much that it caused problems in my family. It caused problems when I was studying. And it hurt me in so many ways. And I tried to get help. Eventually I did speak to someone. I spoke to my parents, and they took me to the doctor, and that started the process of recovery for me. I found a great place that really helped me. I was able to beat all of my problems, and today I'm very happy. And now I do a show that helps other people to be happy as well. So the main thing that we want to leave with you today is that if you are feeling sad about anything, if you're scared about anything, if you feel worried, it's really good to talk to someone. You don't have to keep it inside. No one's going to be angry with you or upset with you or disappointed in you. Don't keep it inside, because when it's kept inside, it can get really bad, can't it, Sharon?
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely.
So I know Sharon introduced the MHD Challenge to you. Who knows what it stands for? What does MHD stand for? Let's see. You. Yes, brilliant. Mental Health Dance Challenge. Okay. And as you saw in the dance, we had some moves in there that mean different things. Who can tell me one of the moves? Yes, you. Which one? Yeah, that one means no. Yeah, brilliant. Well done. Another one. Yeah. Yes, so we had the punch one, yeah? So as I keep saying, in all the schools that I go to, we're not punching people, are we? No, that's not good. What are we punching? The problems, the depression, the bad feelings that come. We're saying, no, I'm not going to leave this feeling there. I'm going to do something about it. Anything else? Yes, the red flag. Where's the red flags? We're going to give those to you in a second, okay? It's like it's saying, depression, I'm coming after you. It's red. We're angry at depression. So I can see you all know the reason why we're doing the dance, okay? Now you've been practicing, haven't you? Yes. Do you know the whole thing? Yeah. They know the whole thing, Sharon. Fantastic. Shall we practice? Yeah. Okay, everybody stand up. Here's an attitude. This way. Go. And turn. And crush, stamp, and crush. So here are two of the students that took part in the MHD Challenge. Why do you think it's important for children to take part in something like this?
Well, I think it's more important because of the actual mental health, not like going on the telly, like the mental health part, because it's quite important. Like if you just ignore it, then a lot of bad things could happen. Mental health is quite important to your body and what you like. It's also a bad part for your actual health, because maybe like you'll just sit home alone, that's causing you to be lazy, so it just causes lots of things.
So when you first heard about the MHD Challenge, when Sharon introduced it to you, what did you think?
It was just like something, I thought it would just be something that would just for like PE, or just something to get our fitness levels up.
Okay. And when you realised what it was for, what did you think?
It's kind of cool.
Cool. And how about you? What did you think of the dance?
I thought that it was fun, and when I first heard of it, I was thinking like, I want to do it.
Okay. How long did it take for you to learn?
About a couple of lessons.
Okay, that's good. Okay. And when you first heard about the dance, what did you think?
When I first heard of it, I thought it wasn't going to be good, but it turned out to be fun.
And do you think it's important for other children to take part, and why?
Yes, because everyone has mental health and everyone needs to feel good.
Ready, let's go! And turn! Good! And turn! Hand on head. 2, 1, 2, 3, get out, stamp, to the side. Shimmy! Middle, to the side. Ready to punch. Punch, punch, down. Punch, 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 down, down. Let's go again. This way. Stamp, stamp, stamp. Step back and point and wave. Good. Well, everyone, I'm very proud to present this certificate of participation for the MHD Challenge. Warren Dell have done an amazing job today. They got really stuck in, they really understood what the dance was about, and I'm so, so happy to have come here today with Sharon to present this certificate. So well done, well done. you so much to all the staff and pupils at Warren Dell Primary School, and also to our parenting coach there, Sharon Lawton. And if you'd like to see our other MHD challenges, please do head over to our YouTube channel and click on the official MHD playlist to see more. And if you would like your school or college or university or employment workplace, if you'd like to take part in the challenge, you can do so by also contacting us on info@chrissybshow.tv. Well, everyone, we've reached the end of today's program, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye for now.